Yeah, so I watched Pie Guy Rules review of Sky Whale, and it was pretty much matched my thoughts on the episode. I wasn't as angry as him on it. Check him out sometime. Check out Bottom of the Bakery. It's a good show that really illustrates Dan Schneider's issues with his shows. You almost wonder, yes, he's aiming this toward children, but at the same time, does he kind of realize how exactly he's supposed to? There's more than just simply being stupid for the sake of being stupid. Anyways, let's discuss the second episode of the show, Lost Jacket, Falling Pigeons, which this was a wonder to behold. So you're gonna see an outtake in which I tried to film the review and I ended up messing up a few things. So you're gonna kind of, that expression that I start with is gonna basically be the expression I had ending the episode. So the plot of the episode is this: Double G gives Babe and Kenzie bonuses, $5,000 each, to spend however they want, because the company is doing well. Game Shakers is doing well. Babe buys a pink jacket and a very expensive pink jacket. $5,000? Really? For that jacket? And then Kenzie buys a square watermelon. They don't really go into any explanation as to why. Yeah. Another thing. And then the subplot of the episode, the B plot. Hudson opens up a window while he talks to pigeons through a window. So he decides to open it up to feed them or something, and then they all come flying into the office, and they all end up at the they don't know any means of getting him out. And so then Double G's son, I can't remember his name. Let me just quickly check on it so that I can I don't know his anyways, his name's not important for right now. He's helping them test the games. He's trying to get the pigeons out of the studio. Okay, he gets a toy car caught. He crashes a toy car, and it ends up on top of him, and he can't get it off of him. I realize that's supposed to be played for humor because, like, it's just so out there, but at the same time, it's just, I think of the out there jokes that Schneider's Bakery does, and I've seen episodes of Small Wonder, an 80s show about a scientist who invents a robot girl, and he convinces everyone, including the neighbors, that she's his adopted daughter, and as well as his wife and his son help keep the secret too. It's a bizarre show. It is absurd and ridiculous. It's ludicrous, but it's an entertaining show because of how absurd, ludicrous, and out there it is. Because somehow it makes sense. The show that is utter nonsense. Both these shows are nonsense, and yet this Small Wonder, the show that just completely throws most logic out the window, makes sense. Because, like, even if it doesn't have a logic to reality, it has a logic within itself, in which you can buy these things that happen. And even then, if you can't, it's just such a friggin' mystery as to how all these things fly that you can't help but laugh, because it's just, they're putting so much into it. They're putting so much stock into every little thing they do. And I don't doubt that visually, Dan Schneider and his team are putting a lot into Game Shakers. Not writing-wise, because so many of the jokes with Hudson fall flat, so many of the jokes with Double G's posse fall flat. Oh, I hate those characters. I fucking hate them. I really want to see them go. I really don't. I can't help but wonder, like, any adult who is on a Dan Schneider show and agrees to do a role like this, a role where you're either going to act like a complete imbecile or constantly be a character who gets shit upon, is the butt monkey. The character played by Benjamin Flores Jr., I think they're setting him up as the butt monkey of the show. Surprisingly enough, it's not Hudson, the dumb one. It's going to be the smart one who is constantly getting shit on. Like, they did that with, there were many episodes of Sam and Cat where they did that with Dice, and it got old fast. It got old very fast. Because he didn't deserve this crap. That was happening to him. There was this one, the episode Yay Day, they had this gag running throughout the episode that, like, he wanted a drink. He kept asking for one, and they kept telling him no. They didn't give him any reason whatsoever. They just kept telling him no. I can kind of get the fact that, like, he's a guest in their home. He's not going to ask for something just because being in their home, because it's their belongings. He has to respect that. He has to respect their property. And to ask for a drink is somehow not respecting their property. And even then, like, he asks outright why he can't. And Nona, the grandmother, she goes on what seems to be a tangent, but does kind of almost make sense about how when they were kids, they didn't have the opportunity to get drinks whenever they wanted. They had to just pick up a rock and lick the bottom of it for the wet stuff. And what friggin' universe does this work? What fucking universe? Yeah, so anyway, you think that, the self-respecting adults play these characters who are, like, just utterly unlikable. I can only think of two reasons why adults work on Dan Schneider shows and do this stuff. Because it can't be because they think it's funny. It just really can't. One, they're getting well paid for it. Two, they're desperate and they can't think of anything else to work on. Because and then we get a gag in the episode where, like, we get many gags in this episode that just are over the top. And then there are funny moments, though. They come out. Funny moments that sort of involve physical comedy. Like, in Sky Whale, in that episode, there was a moment where they're in the, like, shop or something, or the diner, and then, like, the subway tunnel, they're above it, and then the train goes through. Kenzie thinks it's a earthquake. It throws her into a panic, and she dives over the table. That's funny. That's funny because it just, like, it kind of makes it's just so sporadic, and she threw so much into that. Everybody threw so much into that. The set designers who put everything together and everything. And then there's a moment in this episode where, like, Hudson's trying to nab one of the pigeons with a net, and then he ends up nailing Benjamin Flores Jr. in the head and knocking him out. Once again, the timing just worked there. A slapstick comedy that can be played for real. They can be played realistically. Like, you could believe that this kind of activity or mishap could happen in real life. Like, for example, the mishaps that happened in something like Singing in the Rain. You could believe they happened, and even if you couldn't, they were just so over the top that it made them fun to watch. It made them entertaining. Slapstick can't just be over the top and entertaining, but at the same time has to have a logic to it that makes sense. That's why so many slapstick comedies, I think, today fall flat, that have fallen flat for a while. And it's very rare to find a slapstick comedy that really works. Another bizarre gag, they did actually, I want to talk about another quick bizarre gag that they did in Sky Whale, in which Hudson pulls out a guitar and he starts singing Annie's song to everybody. Even though we ain't got money. And it's just funny because of how random it is. I mean, a lot of the humor I like is just because it just comes the fuck out of nowhere. And then he asks anybody wants him to start playing Taylor Swift, and they all go, "No!" That's kind of funny too. Some of these gags are kind of predictable too. I mean, like, there was one particular gag in the first episode, I believe, like, I was able to call the next line that was being said in it almost instantly. And then there are two bizarre gags in this episode. They have this friggin' nutball running the lost and found in the subway. You know, I don't understand why they didn't just track the subway down to its next stop and try and retrieve the jacket there. It doesn't really make sense to me. I know they can't. They're 7th graders. They don't have their own special means of, like, traveling around. Well, this is New York. There are taxis. And so they end up at this friggin' nut job's lost and found. And she's just this very sad, pathetic woman who, like, snaps at everybody and doesn't give a damn about anything. Because she has nothing to claim for herself in this world. Then there's a point where, like, they look through, they can't find the jacket. Babe is sad. She picks up a saxophone, she starts playing it. Which, no, you can't go wrong with a saxophone. Well, playing a saxophone anyway. I don't know about using it to gag in the episode. And then, strangely enough, they borrow a gag from Wayne's World. They have the woman yell at Babe, "No depressing music in here." Then points at the wall, and there's a sign that says "No depressing music in here." That, for the record, in case you didn't know, the gag in Wayne's World was he's trying to play Stairway to Heaven on the guitar that he wants to buy, but then the store manager points up at the wall, and there's a sign that says "No Stairway to Heaven." Yeah, it's weird when he borrows gags from pop culture, because either and it's weird when he actually plays one straight, and he doesn't, like, disguise it with, like, music that sounds similar, or, like, wording that sounds similar, but it's not the exact correct right wording. And then, okay, the episode ends with, like, Kenzie sells back her melon, and then even one of the strangest things I've seen in any Nick show, the guy who works with the sad, pathetic woman at the subway station, he has the jacket, he's wearing it, and he pulls out Babe's lip gloss, cherry lip gloss, and he begins applying it to his own lip. That, I don't get that. I really don't. I wonder what was going through their head when they decided to do that. They just go for the shock value? Because with something like, I haven't seen a lot of new SpongeBob, but something like his face in Whatever Happened to SpongeBob or Who Bob What Pants, you gotta wonder what was going through their heads at the time that they decided to put that in the show. Did they actually think that would fly with their audience? Did they actually think that was appropriate for their audience? Because SpongeBob, he looks like a corpse in that picture. I mean, you gotta see it to believe it. And even then, I tell you, if you can't see, you can avoid seeing it. It's something you can avoid for the rest of your life, because you see it, you'll definitely wish you never saw it ever. And then, yeah, so there's that gag. And then the episode ends with Double G hires somebody to spray the pigeons with a sleeping gas. I thought maybe it was a toxin that was going to kill them, but after, like, it knocks out the pigeons, it ends up knocking everybody out in the room except for the guy who brought the gas. Yeah, that's the way that plotline ends, which pretty much ends the episode. And then there's the there's the ending of the main plot in which Kenzie returns her watermelon, buys another jacket, and gives that to Babe. After Babe's looking through a slideshow of her of like memories she had with the jacket through the one day she had the jacket as well. Really? And then like that laugh track, Pie Guy Rules isn't kidding, because like they just push every single little thing and make it into something, try and make it into something big. There's also another gag early in the episode where like Kenzie says to pour, well actually there's a few gags in here that I kind of wish I discussed. Let's see. Kenzie tells Hudson to pour him some apple juice. He says, do you mean apple juice or chicken breast? And then he's later cooking the chicken breast when the plastic car catches on fire. The plastic car caught on fire? Really? That's a thing? Apparently it is. Then we have... he pours her the apple juice into a cup. He's sort of in the position of a bartender. She chugs it very quickly and she goes, hit me again. They're doing a drinking joke? I mean, like, other Nick shows have done drinking jokes before, but yeah, it's kind of weird how they just like, they're kind of not disguising it. They're not making any effort to do that. Now, granted, kids might not get it, might not understand it, and you can kind of appreciate that, but it kind of played weird. And then they have this bizarre, very fucking bizarre joke that they end the episode with, in which like the pigeon, this disclaimer, like the pigeons were not harmed in this episode. The people were not harmed in this episode. The watermelon, however, was eaten by the cast. Send your condolences to the watermelon's family. Make a donation to the Cantaloupe Society or something. It just played really weird. The one little saving grace of that gag was that they show that right at the end they do a little Spaceballs thing where like, you're still reading this, really? That pops up at the end, and that's a little clever. But the rest, all the stuff, the best thing I can describe, the best word I can use to describe the show so far, weird. It's weird. Pixels was weird. I mean, like, Pixels was clearly being sold as... Basically, Goosebumps was what Pixels should have been. I remember thinking Goosebumps was like... Much like Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. It was going to be serviceable. It was going to be passable. It was going to work as well as it should. Or as it could. And then... The weirdest thing, it ends up being that, they sell it as as one of those adventure, sci-fi films, sort of, and it ends up being just another M. Sandler movie with that as an afterthought, the plot. Yeah, so much of the stuff, the plot line in the episodes is an afterthought. And clearly, like, Babe is always making decisions and not conferring with Kenzie. Kenzie is your partner. You should also trust in her as well. I've kind of gone on long enough at this point, but I'll probably have more to say in the next episode. Until then, catch you guys on the flip side.